Hello from Chicago.
Hello.
In the house.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm here.
Hello.
Salut.
I don't ever want to forget what happened to George Floyd. So, I need to say that. Okay.
I didn't really fall in love with motorcycles until my husband went to buy a new motorcycle and realized his license had expired. So I bought it and I drove it home, and it was so easy to ride. It just felt like I could be at one with the bike and I was riding my own personal rocket ship.
Today, I am the bearer of bad news. News just broke that Dustin Screech Diamond of Saved by the Bell fame has died after battling stage 4 lung cancer. Rest in peace, Dustin Diamond. Many a Saturday morning, you entertained me while I was hungover from the bar from the night before.
The human voice is transforming our online presence. Why do you think that is? I want to talk about using our voices to connect with each other, specifically online. And I'm going to explore why speaking is so powerful, especially when it's paired with listening. And then that thing happens, conversation, dialogue between us, just using our voices. No batteries needed, no special effects, just the voice. Like what I'm doing right now. My vocal cords are vibrating and sounds are being produced, and they're traveling across this invisible network, and they're landing inside your ears. And I know that sounds like a non-event, right? It happens all the time. The voice is old. It started with grunts in caves thousands of years ago. So what makes talking an actual topic for conversation in the 21st century, in the digital age? Well, let's think about kissing for a second. Stay with me. Kissing is an instinct. It's a primal act, a signal that says, oh, kiss this person in front of you. Basic, right? So why do we still get blown away when a kiss is really good? Because it's still surprising and wonderful and memorable. When a kiss is a great kiss, you never forget it. Okay, so our voices are like our kisses. They can create a connection that is hard to forget, especially when a voice is inextricably linked to an experience. Think about famous voices for a second.
I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
You don't know the true power of the dark side.
I'm using a bread pan and I'm lining it with fresh pork fat. These are thin sheets of fresh pork fat.
What you're making isn't so good, okay? It's not that great. It's trying to be good. It has ambition to be good, but it's not quite that good.
I can't wait. It's just hard doing comedy. It's got Mumford and Sons taking over the Capitol.
Better for families working and raising their kids. Better for people who lost jobs and need new ones. Better for farmers tired of being collateral damage in trade wars.
The 3 things that I want to leave with you, just these 3. I could do 10, I could do a whole life class. But just these 3 things will carry you if you let them.
I know she didn't put anything in the overhead bin either. And I get it. I want you to know, protect and serve, Air Marshal style. I'll take the first watch.
For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
So that last voice belonged to Amanda Gorman, and she blew us all away when she read her poem during the inauguration. When I hear her voice, I know it's her, and I feel what I felt when I first heard her. I feel her. We all have the tool Amanda used that day. Each of our voices is like a fingerprint, wholly original, unique, completely our own. So the big question on my mind is, when it comes to our social presence online, can we fully take advantage of how awesome our voices are? Let's look at 4 areas where I think voice elevates the way we connect online. We're going to look at real emotions versus emojis, the meh of memes, the depth of listening, and authenticity creating trust. Okay, let's go to emojis first, since they're not cutting it, at least not anymore. They tend to box our humanity into little pixels. It makes no sense to lean on emojis to express what we feel. But it could be argued that technology has impacted how we communicate so much by pushing us to care less about connecting in a meaningful way and more about generating content to drive more views and more clicks and, yes, elicit more emojis. And where does that leave us? Enter the human voice, the original audio emoji, the raw, real emotion that comes through us so naturally. Emotions are way more complicated and beautiful in their expression than what appears as a crying or laughing circle. How can an emoji capture the pain behind the Black Lives Matter movement, or the compassion of someone talking about mental health to someone who's been shamed about it?
I'd like to talk about a 15-year-old boy named Devonte Hart. We don't know if Devonte is dead or alive. We do know that last year, his adoptive mother killed everyone else in the family. Devonte's body is the only body that wasn't found. Devonte had viral fame in 2014. His face was all over social media. He was the black boy who hugged a white cop at the Ferguson protest over the shooting of Michael Brown.
Wow, thank you for adding that one. It's keeping that memory alive. It's that story is just unfathomable. I know parts of that story. I don't know the whole story. So I really appreciate that post.
We have to start first with, you're not a bad person for having this illness. You are a person with an illness. The way that, I wouldn't critique someone for having diabetes or cancer. Those are illnesses. We can't control whether we have those things. And so I think when we stop treating it as a character flaw or as something that happens because you're not working hard enough at being happy, that's when we start to get at really solving the problem. And I think talking about it, people talking about it in their personal lives, people really sharing how therapy may have helped them, how medication may have helped them, how exercise does help, what things they're doing to make themselves feel better, to aid in their recovery. That's how we get to a place where the stigma is lessened and we really start talking about it as a thing that we can work through, as opposed to, feeling shame about it. I just wanted to say thank you for sharing all of that. I really appreciate you. Thanks.
Let's talk about memes as a replacement for original thought. There's no doubt the cats are cute. And sharing a cat meme, or a dancing baby for that matter, has its own strange reward. But we are what we share, and so maybe that's the next frontier, to be more original, to take more risks and share more of ourselves and not something once removed, or really several times removed, that you found maybe on a feed or all pixelated in your junk folder. One thing that memes have taught us is that our personal moments can be experienced by millions of other people as being weird or wonderful or poignant. Now, the backbone of memes is storytelling. And storytelling is all about voice. Your original thought spoken in your voice is yours. The quirkier, the better. And couple that with other voices joining in, and the germ of your idea can grow in all sorts of directions.
I've been thinking about getting a pet snake. Does anyone have experience with snakes?
I've never had a pet snake, but I work in a science museum and handled snakes for quite a bit. The thing is, they don't recognize you. Their brains aren't big enough.
Good afternoon. Today is a happy day. I got a brand spanking new 3 cubic foot upright freezer.
Hey, Bike Man, glad to hear you from Nova Scotia. The funny thing about your freezer, I just got an email from my dad in Florida, who also got a new freezer today and was very proud to send me a photo of that. So, congratulations to both of you.
One of the things I came across while I was studying this was the Mongolian cavalrymen through the 11th and 12th century as they kind of rode across the plains as they conquered to make this huge empire. One of the ways the soldiers and the cavalrymen would keep going is they would actually, as they were riding, nick a kind of minor vein on one of the horses they were riding on their neck and actually directly just drink the blood from the horse as it rode. And it sounds kind of rather odd to me, but interestingly, according to Marco Polo, they could ride for 10 days doing this without any solid food. They didn't kill their horses.
Wow, Simon, that is interesting, intriguing, and grotesque all at the same time.
One way to really measure the power of voice today is by consciously listening to a voice, dropping into all that a voice brings to the table. Now, podcasts have really proven out this idea that listening to the recording of someone talking, especially close to the mic, can envelop us completely. The breath a person takes is like a space bar, creating a moment just before something is about to transform from an internal thought into existence. And a deliberate pause between thoughts is an invitation to come in, to be in discovery with the person who's talking. When you really listen, you can hear what is not being said. And that is what tone is. And how many times have we all misinterpreted tone when reading a tweet or a text or an email? The human voice is infused with tone, with meaning what we say, and that allows us to go deeper without fear of being misunderstood. It allows us to be vulnerable and share ideas that are complex and deeply human.
Today, 29th of January, is the 4th anniversary of my loving wife's physical disappearance from this world. At the same time, as much as that is true, my emotions being attached to her, my relationship, everything being attached to her, there's also another aspect of the physical death which we all think about or sometimes dread as well. It's something which we need to relook maybe to see a different perspective of how to deal with it or approach it or associate it with.
I think that there's a power in owning our choices and embracing them and saying, this is who I am, sort of letting down the mask and owning our mistakes and our imperfections and our weaknesses and the parts of ourselves that maybe are not so neat and tidy. So when I did The Modern Love, it was a difficult thing to write, obviously, and there was a lot of soul searching and probing, which is uncomfortable, and it's not particularly comfortable. It's not. I think the hardest part is admitting those things to yourself, putting them out in the world. I think for me, there was a part of it that made me feel strong. There's something empowering about saying, this is who I am, and I don't see a reason to hide it. A friend of mine, she had a close relationship with Nora Ephron and read me a Nora Ephron quote that I'm going to ruin, but it was something about when you slip on a banana peel, people laugh at you. But when you tell people you slipped on the banana peel, the joke is yours. And I realized there's a power in owning your own story.
I really loved this conversation. It was great to hear you both. So nice to just check in with you, Monique, in Paris this way and get the intimacy of hearing your voice, hearing your thoughts after the amazing 10 days post Modern Love and what it's been like for you, and also just hearing that you're, I don't know, feeling your most authentic self right now. So really grateful to have this moment to take a walk in COVID-battered LA and listen to the two of you from two ends of the world have a really meaningful conversation with depth and heart, and I really liked it.
Maybe the biggest casualty of modern social media is the decline of deep listening. It seems that sometimes we're all in our own bubbles messaging away, and we're not trying to communicate, we're trying to message. When you're messaging, you're not listening, so the cycle of meaningful communication, it goes away. We all at some point get tired of the fake stuff. We crave authenticity because when someone is real, it's way easier to trust what they have to say. The voice tends to win out over text when it comes to vibing out someone's real intentions. You can sense the goodness of someone when they're talking. Here's the voice of a young doctor looking for advice. And the exchange that happens when an experienced doctor joins the conversation is just so real because it's what voice brings to the table.
I am a recent medical school graduate, and I will be starting my internship in internal medicine on Wednesday. And I would like to hear your stories and any tips, advice, experiences that you've had in the hospital with young doctors, and I'd like to learn from them. Thank you very much. Looking forward to hear what you have to say.
COVID put aside, you're about to start such an incredible journey, as I'm sure you've already heard from others. And with regards to advice, there's certainly much more than I could ever give in just a couple of minutes. But if I had to boil it down to two words, it would be courage and humility. The humility part is hopefully obvious because there's so much to learn, and none of the attending physicians are ever going to be true masters in the art because there's just so much about the human body that we'll never know. The second part, though, is about courage, and something that I really wish I had appreciated early on. To quote Steve Jobs, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. And nowhere else can I think of a better time for this than the beginning of residency, when, of course, as you know, you need to follow such a strict path and need to follow a line and can't stray from it ever. Remembering that the life that you want to live and how you want to practice and how you want to treat your patients will one day be your decision and not that of your attending physician. So as difficult as it is early on, remember to have that courage to look for what you really want to do and how you want to practice, because one day it's going to be you who has to make the final decisions and do what your heart feels is really best. And it's not always going to be what the guidelines out there say. So I'm really excited to hear more from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I said as well.
The fact that we have the choice to speak with each other online is really a gift. It's an opportunity to infuse our online presence with tone and meaning and empathy and the actual music of the human voice. I know I may sound evangelistic here, but that's because I've seen the pendulum swing way in the other direction, where conversation was just not happening anywhere, and I really missed it. And now when I hear a new voice, I listen in immediately, and I get so much information about that person and what they're meaning to say just because it's a voice. It's their voice. The audio clips you heard in the last 20 minutes, they were sampled from Swell. And Swell is a new audio platform that's all about the voice. You can participate in conversations that are happening all over the world just by recording your voice using any mobile phone. Swell is where listening and responding becomes so beautifully intertwined because these conversations aren't live, they're recorded, so you can really listen. And if you want, You can reply, and your voice, your reply, is what moves that conversation forward. I'm going to give the last word here to Georgia D. She's a swellcaster who lives in Perth, Australia.
To open up and be vulnerable in front of other people is a gift that you're giving to other people because it touches the vulnerability in other people. And these audio platforms are an amazing, rich, fertile landscape of connecting with other people intellectually, emotionally, psychologically, but with boundaries and space. That's the thing I love about audio is you can pick it up and put it down. And I'm sorry for the lateness of my reply, everybody, but when we can be strong enough to open up to other people and share a story, it is a gift. But I feel like this is a safe place, and I'm super grateful and touched and honoured by everybody's replies. It's an amazing thing that's happening here.